In mid-2001, a West Coast software company decided to close its RD offices. Some of the people were let go right away and others by the mid-fall. This closure freed up a group of 8 of us to start up a new software company, Syncfusion. We worked the long hours of a startup to get our first product released in late spring of 2002. I can remember lots of late nights with pizza and donuts. My drive to work took me by the Krispy Kreme in downtown Raleigh, and whenever the Hot Now sign was lit up, I would stop and get a dozen to take in. As I recall, none of the donuts ever got cold. We started to increase our headcount by adding sales and marketing support. By the end of 2003, we moved our offices back to RDU in Morrisville, to the same office space that we occupied with the previous software company that we had worked for. By the end of 2004, we'd opened up our office in Chennai. By this time, we had maybe 30 people in RDU and 100 people in Chennai. And today our team has grown to maybe 100 to 120 people in RDU and more than 1,000 people in Chennai. We've also opened an office in Kisumu, Kenya. Part of my work with Syncfusion was to do consulting for our grid products. It's taken me to some interesting places. The rug you see over my shoulder is actually from a client in Libya where I spent a month doing consulting. Another time, I went on a trip that I thought would never end. The trip was to London to consult with a client who had hired a group of programmers from an international consulting firm to develop their product. The work went fine, and I flew out on a Sunday, returning on that Friday as scheduled. About 3 weeks later, the client called up and said he'd like me to come over again Sunday through Friday. This time on the Thursday before I was to leave on the following Friday, he said, could I stay another week? This went on for 3 additional times until I'd spent a full month there in London. The thing that made this interesting during this time, it was Fashion Week in London, and the hotels had no block of rooms available anywhere for a week. So I ended up having to haul my roll around with my 1 week's worth of clothes from place to place. As a result of that, I lost my umbrella in rainy London and a coach belt and other various articles of clothing of my limited wardrobe. But the good thing about that is that to this day, both the client and the international consulting firm are still Syncfusion customers. And I'd like to say to those customers who've been with us through the past 20 years, we want to thank you, and we look forward to working with you for many more in the future.